Well, here we are. Amythyst Kiah, inside of Studio J. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been quite a couple of years. Most of our audience probably knows you from the 2021 album Wary and Strange, which had a big Grammy-nominated record on a song on there, Black Myself.
Oh, yeah.
Named one of CMT's Next Women of Country. Featured in the Amazon doc for Love and Country. And you just recently toured with The Who as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's been a lot. It's a lot of stuff that's happened.
You're busy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, it's kind of funny because, like, as you're moving through life and doing stuff, like, sometimes you don't, like, when you put it that way, looking back, it's like, yeah, that is a lot of stuff. I think every day I think of, like, how much has happened, over the past, several years, and it's, been a lot of firsts, a lot of growing pains. But it's the good kind of pain, it's like, I'm testing my limits and trying things that I've never done before, and then, deciding if I'm into it or not, and then finding new things that I love doing, and then, just going to town. So anyway, it's been a very rewarding over the past few years and a lot of growth. So
you grew up in Tennessee, still live there now, and your dad is a big audiophile.
Yes.
And I would assume really got you into music at an early age as you were growing up.
Oh yeah, definitely. My dad had a like this big entertainment unit, and he had records and cassette tapes, CDs, and he had like 3-way speakers, and he had the whole thing, and he also had like a equalizer, so he would like further equalize the music to his liking. Like he was really, really into that, and I kind of picked up my own sense of attention to detail from him, especially when it comes to music, and literally like every day, like there'd be something playing in the house, and it crossed all genres of music. So
is there one particular artist or album that really resonated with you or inspired you to become a musician?
It's hard to say because I've listened to so much music, so much that sometimes I'll see an album come and be like, oh my God, I forgot I knew what this was, like that kind of thing. So, I would say, when I was really, really young, I was obsessed with Michael Jackson. I loved the songs, his voice. Like, I remember the Dangerous album, which came out like in 92. I remember like, my dad letting me like play my CD, because we used to go like used CD stores and stuff all the time. So I would start picking out my own music, and he'd let me listen to it on his stereo, and I would just stare at the Dangerous cover like for hours, just staring at the cover because it was just so interesting, and listening to the music. And anyway, so that was sort of like, a big thing. Before that, I was listening, like Sesame Street, like kid stuff.
Sure.
But then I like dove right into the really, really good, cool stuff. So, oh my God, did I just denigrate people that do kids songs? That's not what I meant to. I didn't mean it like that. It's just age appropriate, what I mean? So, but anyway.
You found the guitar at the age of 13. How did that happen?
Yeah, so up until this point, like I've, always had a Walkman with a CD in it. Like I was that kid that sat on the bus or sat in the back of the car with my parents, and like with my parents in the front, and like listening to music, staring out the window. So I'd listened to a lot of music at this point, and my parents kind of had this outlined idea of like how they wanted me to do like goals wise. And it was really just 3 simple things. It was, do well in school, play some kind of team sport, do some sort of physical activity, and then, learn to play an instrument. And like, these weren't things like if I didn't do them, like I was going to be disowned, but it's just this general idea of like trying to create a well-rounded, adjusted individual, which, I came out pretty okay, I think, all things considered. But yeah, they just told me, asked me what I wanted to play, and I thought about piano, but then I ended up going with guitar just because I'd be able to like take it places. It'd be a lot more portable. And I was listening to a lot of rock music at that point, so I was hearing guitar, watching like music videos and all of that, and I was like, that looks really cool, so I'm gonna do that. And then it kind of really just started as a hobby. Then it turned into being a very therapeutic, cathartic thing, because like I had a rough time, in going into middle school and high school, just a lot of teenage crap,
Sure.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like music was the way that I could kind of channel those like negative feelings, and I kind of tended to keep things to myself, which obviously over time that's not a great long-term plan, but that's what I did, and I would just kind of express myself through songs or through poetry or writing or whatever. So yeah.
I want to talk about this really pivotal moment in your music career. You are dropped out of grad school.
Yep.
You're performing in Europe. You've got a part-time job at Target.
Yeah.
And you get this phone call while you're at an airport from a North Carolina native.
Yeah.
Tell me that story, because it
Yeah.
must have been this great, like, hello, what's happening? Interesting moment in your career, right? A lot of things could have gone the other way.
Yeah. I left grad school like in I want to say like maybe 2014 or 2015 at this point. And, it was 2014 because there was 2 years there. So there was like 2 years where I had to use my credit card to buy groceries like during the winter. Cause like, it was to the point where like, because up until that point I'd been in school for a really, really long time, and I was, getting my balance of aid, working at Target, being a student worker, and, just whatever. But then it came to this point where it's like, okay, if I'm going to do this full time, I need to just do it,
Yeah.
And on 2016, like I was in the airport, I was getting ready to fly over for another tour in the UK. And I was like, if nothing changes this year, I'm going to have to get a full-time job. I'm going to have to get a regular 9 to 5, because like I've kind of put all my eggs in one basket here for the most part. And so it's like, I'm going to have to do something else. So that literally could have been the year that I wouldn't be sitting here had I not gotten that phone call at that time.
Yeah.
So it really was a really important, pivotal moment. So yeah, it was Rhiannon Giddens that her booking agent, she and her booking agent both reached out to me. At the time I was working with, there was a friend of mine that was kind of helping me out with booking shows and stuff, but she wasn't like full-time booking agent, so there's only so much that she could do. But she's a dear friend of mine named Charlene that does work for the Bristol Rhythm and Roots Festival in Bristol. So great person. But anyway, so we got on the phone and talked with Chris Colburn, and she had seen a video of me performing at Cambridge Folk Festival.
Okay.
And that's how. And I've actually met her a couple of different times, but it was like that when you're on the road for a while, you kind of develop this glaze that comes over your eyes. Because I've had people tell me, "Oh, I met you at social," and I'm like, I do not remember. I'm so sorry. So she probably, so I'd met her a couple of times before, but it was one of those things. So, but it was regardless of that, like it was just really exciting because, the Carolina Chocolate Drops were one of the bands that was a big influence on me, particularly like to really fully dive into old time music and like learn about, the roots history of really all American music. It was so that to be able to be seen and, I got to tour with her booking agent. We really hit it off really well. And then I had a North American booking agent. I was like, oh my God, I finally,
it's happening
now, things are continuing to move forward, like really right in the nick of the time. So I was like, because in my mind, I'm like, maybe I'm just going to tour the UK for the rest of my life, which that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But it was kind of like, really getting things moving in North America is super hard. just because like obviously the United States is just such a huge country,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
like, you know, you can, once you get kind of around in like one region, it's like it's super hard to just cold call and cold email people.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, so he was able to, so yeah, that all really came together. I opened for her for a couple of tour runs for Freedom Highway when that came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on she'd asked me to be part of Our Native Daughters
Yeah.
and do that project. So yeah,
That's great.
You know, it's been so it's everything, and then obviously, you know, I've continued to build out the rest of my team. You know, having Ramser do management.
Yep.
And then then I obviously like got a chance to like Ramser's been great because they've basically been like, you know, we're gonna help you do this, and this, and all of that has happened. You know,
awesome.
getting signed with the label, getting to play, you know, bigger some bigger festivals and venues, opening for more people. So anyway, it's all been really great.
Let's talk about your new EP that came out in August, Pensive Pop.
Yeah.
This is exciting. These are not cover songs. This is reimagined pieces of music, I think. Where'd this idea come from?
Well, I have always really enjoyed reimagining existing music. I did that a lot when I studied old time music at East Tennessee State University.
Yeah.
I really got a chance to, you know, like I guess dig into like, you know, old field recordings and like older commercial recordings of like this, you know, really like fascinating music. And because of my really heavy, like eclectic influences in multiple kinds of music, when I would approach an old time song, I would have to kind of taper it back a little bit if I was playing in a string band, because that was a specific sound we were going for. But for my own solo shows, you know, a lot of my influences in like with pop music and rock, and I was also a big fan of like Lorena McKennitt and like, you know, kind of like world beat, like Renaissance style, European style stuff. Like,
Yeah.
So I was really into like all of that. And when I would reimagine a song, I would really like, I'd want to keep the depth and integrity of the song, but also like make it my own.
Yeah.
So and because of that attitude, I've only ever played at 3 weddings, but you know, it is what it is. I play at weddings if I get to just play my music. But yeah, so, and I've just really always just enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And being able to do this, but do it with like, you know, contemporary songs or songs that I grew up listening to, it was a task that I thought would be a really fun thing to do in between, you know, the next record, because I'm writing songs for the next record right now. So that was kind of a fun way to kind of apply that to songs that I've always loved, but I'd never really learned because, you know, I was in the folk, like old time folk circuit.
Sure.
And, you know, some things just don't work in certain settings. I don't think so. So this is my chance to just kind of run free and just do whatever with it. And yeah, worked with some great people on that record, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, so I appreciate you saying reimagine, because that's really more or less what they are. I mean, I've been calling it the covers EP, but it is stuff that's reimagined, and it's all topics. All the topics in the songs are topics that, you know, I've always really been a sucker for songs about loss and sadness and like trying to overcome, you know, adversity and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was fun.
Cool. Amythyst Kiah, thank you so much for coming by Studio J.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.